Hey everyone, welcome back to the Programming Fields. I'm Umesh Rana, and if you are following our Yajra Datatable series, you are in the right place. In the previous videos, we have covered some pretty awesome features like setting up server-side data tables, adding edit and delete actions, enabling inline edits and update functionality, and even reordering rows and columns. Alright? Now today we are taking it up a notch with some advanced functionalities that will really level up your data tables game. In this video, we will dive into how to add column specific search filters in which we will have search filter for every columns. Then we will see how to place and customize our loader during Ajax call. And last but not least, we will see how to implement custom search filters like date filters or dropdowns. These features are a great way to enhance the user experience and make your tables even more powerful. But before getting started, firstly, let's talk about column-specific search. By default, the DataTables lets you search across all columns at once. And for this, there is a global search here. So if you will apply any search here, just like this, then this will apply search globally in all the columns. But sometimes you want to allow users to filter data in specific columns. Maybe search for a name, email, phone number, or filter by date or status without affecting other data. That's where column specific search comes in. Here is our basic data table setup. It is the same as we have done before with server-side processing. Now what we will do is, we will add an input field in each column's header here. These input fields will let users search through specific columns without disturbing the others. So let's start by adding these input fields here by using jQuery. So we will append the input fields here using jQuery. So if I will come to the code editor, here I have the blade file that I had created for users listing. If I will scroll down, here I have the table. Inside this, we have the table header only, and we have these columns. So for these all columns, we will be adding the input fields for applying the column search. And if I will scroll down, here I have the server side rendering. So I have initialized the data tables here. Inside this, I already added column reorder and row reorder functionality. Here we have the server side processing, and inside this we have this Ajax call. And after triggering the Ajax call, here I am binding the data whatever it is returning from the Ajax call. So based on this is rendering the data in the front end. Also we added the inline edit and delete functionality. So this is our delete functionality here. Thereafter we added this for inline edit. Okay. So as of now, let me collapse these all functions. This is for update user. Okay. So here after this data table initialization, firstly I will append input fields for column search. So I want to add input fields in the header, that means thead. Here we have the thead added by Bootstrap. So if I will inspect it, inside this we can see, if I will zoom it, here we have the thead, inside this we have the tr, and inside this tr we have the following th for the columns. So I want to add one more tr inside this thead itself, and inside that tr I will create th along with the input fields. So what I will do, I will clone this tr to append in the same thead. So let's come to the code editor. So here I will use the table selector and the table class is DataTable. If I will show you here, we have the table class added as DataTable. So I will simply copy this class name, and here I will add .datatable. Inside this I will capture the tr which is inside thead. So I will write thead followed by tr. Okay. So I will reach out to this table, thead and tr. So this will target this first tr here. Okay. Thereafter, I will use the jQuery clone function. Inside this, I will pass the true flag, and that I want to append in the same t head of this data table. So I will write dot append to function provided by jQuery. Inside this, I will pass the same selector as dot datatable t head. Okay, this is fine. Now let's come to the browser now. Let's refresh. Here we can say this cloned the same tr and th inside the t head. Okay. So inside t head, now we have two tr. The first tr is for the column's name, and this is for the second tr, in which we will add input fields, and through that we will apply the columns filter. Now what we will have to do? Inside every th we will have to append the input fields. So let's append that. Here I will capture this in a variable as const input search row. Now I will iterate this row, so I will loop it through. So I will write input search row dot find, because we will have to find all the th available inside this tr. So I will write input search row dot find th dot each function. Okay, just like this. Inside this, in every th we will have to add input field. So I will write $this dot html, because we have to replace the th text that we are seeing as a column name here. So this name, email, phone number and created at text will be removed, and instead of that, this will add one input field. So let's add it. Inside this html, I will add input type as text, and I will add one class from Bootstrap as form control. I will add a placeholder as search, just like this. Let's come to the browser. Let's refresh now. Yes, we can see we have the input field added against every columns. Alright, if we'll hover over on these input fields, we can see against every th we have the input field added. Now here for the serial number and action column, we don't want the search input because this is not needed. Firstly, in the action column, we have the edit and delete button only. We don't have to search with the data here. And for the serial number, we have generated it through the Datatable column index function. This is not coming from database. So we don't have to add input fields for these columns. Therefore, we will filter out these two columns for adding input fields. So what I will do, I will add one condition to check if it is first column or last column inside this th, then this will exclude adding input fields. So here inside this each function, I will pass one parameter as index, so that we will get the index against every th. Now inside this, I will add one condition. If index is equals 0, that means if it is the first index, or if index is last. So we are not sure inside the dynamic table how many columns will be there to find the last index. So what I will do, I will calculate this dynamically based on the all th length. So inside this, and I will check from the input search row index, and here inside this I will search it through input search row th index. So I will write if index is equals input search row dot find th. Okay, so inside this input search row, this will find all the th, and I will add length because this will return an array. So this will be length minus 1. Let's suppose if we have total 12 index, then for finding the last index, we will have to add minus 1. just like this. Okay, so this will check if index is first or last, then we don't have to add it. So I will add return. Okay, else for the other index, this will append the input field. Let me add one comment here. If index is first and last, then skip adding input field. Okay, this is fine. Let's come to the browser. Let's refresh now. Yes, we can see. Now it removed the search input from the first and last index. Alright, this is fine. Now inside this, I will append the dynamic placeholder name. That means if it is name, then this placeholder should be search name. And same thing, this will be for search email, search phone number and created at. So what I will do, I will find the text against every th. So I will find it through the index. Alright. So inside this placeholder text, I will add search dollar, and here I will change this to backtick. Here I will add $this dot text function. Okay, let's refresh now. Yes, now we can see we have the placeholder text as search name, search email, phone number and created at based on the dynamic columns name. This is fine. Now we have to apply the filter. So if we try to click on the first input field, here we can see this triggered the sorting. So we will have to prevent this, because while interacting with the input fields, firstly this is firing up the sorting functionality provided by this data table. So we have to prevent the sorting and ordering functionality against these input fields. Okay, so what we will have to do, we will have to add one class here against every input fields. So I will add one class as filter input. Okay, now against the filter input class, we will have to prevent the event. So we will have to stop the event here so that it won't fire up the sorting functionality when we will interact with the inputs. Okay, so for this I will add one click event. So I will target the second tr inside this t head. Okay, so I will add one click function here. So inside this I will add dot datatable t head. Inside this we have to target the second tr. So I will use tr of nth child. Inside this I will pass the second. Okay, so this will target the second child tr of that t head. Then we will have to add the click event against the th. So here against the second th, so if you will come to the browser, here we can see against inside this t head we have the second tr, and inside this tr we have to target this th to add the click function. So this will prevent the sort and order to be triggered when we will click or interact in this input. So I will target this th here. So I will add th dot click function. Okay, I will capture the event. So we can write event dot stop propagation. So this event stop propagation will prevent the behavior of parent selector. That means if we will click on the input, this will prevent any behavior of that parent which is overlapping here. Alright, so this will stop firing sort order click on input interaction. Okay, let's come to the browser. Let's refresh. Let's check now. Now let's try to click on search name here. We can see this has not triggered that sorting and ordering functionality. Okay, this is fine. Now for this serial number, if you want this sorting and ordering, this is fine. We can hide it. And for this serial number and action, I want to remove this text. So I will add inside this index, if it is the first and last column, then I will add $this dot html to be empty, just like this. Okay, let's refresh now. Yeah, this is fine. Now if we'll check inside this, we don't have any text here. We have only for the name, email, phone number and created it. Now we have to apply the column filters. So when we will type something, this should filter from this list, and for this will trigger the AJAX call. Currently, if we'll check the network tab, this is the first AJAX call when this entire data has been loaded. Okay, so we will have to implement the column search here, and for this we will have to add one event, that is key up and change event. Okay, so when we will type something, this should filter from that by performing the AJAX call. So firstly, let's add one custom class here so that we can identify the inputs, and based on that class we will apply the custom filter functionality. So let's add the custom class here against every input fields. Here I will add class as input filter. Okay, now we will add functionality against this class as input filter. So we will write input dash filter dot on key up. Okay, and also we will have to add it for change event, so that when we will remove something from the input field, that should apply the filter as well. So I will add space change function. Okay, this will be for our column search filter. Alright, and inside this I will find the parent index against every input field. So I will write $this dot parent function, and thereafter I will call the index function. Let's assign this to one variable as column index. Okay, and here I will add console.log column index to check the parent index of every input fields. So let's come to the browser. Let's refresh now. Let's move to the console tab and let's try to search it here. So here when we typed on the current input element, this returned the index of the parent column. That means here we searched for the name input field, and this name input field is in the first index. That means this serial number is in the 0 index inside this tr. Name is in the first index. Similarly, if we will search in the email, this returned the index of this parent element, that is second index. If we will search in the date filter, this returned the index of that parent element, that is for created at column. So if we will count the index, the serial number is 0, name is first, email is second, phone number is third, and the created at is the fourth index. Okay, so we received the index of every parent element when we tried adding some input in the search filter. Alright, now next we will have to get the entered value against every input fields. So when we typed something here inside this first input or second, third or fourth, respective to every input fields, we will have to get the entered value here. So I will add one more variable as const searched terms. Okay, and I will add $this dot val. Okay, this is fine. Let me add this in the console so that we can check if we are getting the correct input value here. Let me refresh once again. Now in the first column, let me try to type Julius. Here we can see I am getting that searched value here. Same thing if I will search in the email field, here I am getting that value, and this is in the second index. Okay, if I will search with the space as well, this is giving that space. Alright, also if we will put space before the string, here this is giving the exact same space. So we will have to trim this space before sending this to server, so that based on the given input field, this can search with the database column. So I will use dot trim function here, just like this. Now let's check the response here. I will search with the space and then I will search with the Julius. So in the final output, I'm getting the trimmed value here. This is fine. Now I will apply search filter based on the input value. So let's apply the search filter on the column index. Here I will add table because we have the data table instance here. Okay. So I will use table dot column, and inside this column function we will have to pass the column index. So based on the entered input field, only this will apply on that particular column. So I will write table dot column, and inside this I will pass this column index. Okay. Thereafter I will call the search function provided by Datatable API, and inside this search we will have to pass that search terms that we are trying to search in the particular column. So I will pass this search terms. Then I will call this draw function so that this will render the data table with the searched value. This is fine. Let me add one comment here. Apply column search. Okay. Let's come to the browser. Let's refresh. Now let's try to search here in the first column, name. I will type Lonnie. Now you can see this applied the column filter here, and this filtered out users related to name Lonnie. Similarly, if you will apply the email filter here, now I will type Steben. So we can see this filtered that row particularly. Alright. So how this is working? Now here if you will notice, we have added the data table column filter in the client side only, but we have not added any server side logic to apply column filters. So how this is working? So in the Yazra Datatables, this is applying the server side filters based on the given input fields. So we have applied the server side data table rendering here. So in the Yazra Datatable, this is appending the search input fields directly in the search query. So I will come to the controller first. We have the user controller. So inside this HTTP controllers, we have the user controller. Here we have the index function. Inside this, we have added this request ajax function. If it is ajax request, then we have used this user query. So this will return the eliminate builder for that particular user model. And when we have applied column filters, this appended that particular column index for filtering out inside this query. So if I will come to the browser, inside this network tab, on every search input, this triggered the ajax request. Okay. Let me clear this. Let me refresh it once again. I will clear this network log. Now let me search with the name Lonnie here. So I have searched with name Lonnie, and based on every search input, it striked the ajax call. So I will check this last one. Inside this payload, if I will show you, here it passed the searched value of the columns index 1, and in the value, here whatever I have entered as name Lonnie, this passed in the payload. Now this payload went to the server, and in the server that processed based on this input value, and here it checked with the name field, that is for the first index we have the field name as name, and this applied the search filter on that particular name field by matching the index. Now if I will come to the preview here, here we have the data, and these data are populating here in the front end. Now inside this we have the input array. So inside this input we have the columns and order. Now lastly we have the queries array. So let's focus on this query. Here we have the query in the first 0 index. So in the 0 index, this is returning the all users by adding the count asterisk. So in the first index, here the query is select count asterisk as aggregate from users. This is for users table, and it added the where condition. Inside this, it is checking the name, and that name is binding here as it is passed from the payload. So here in the bindings we can see we have the bindings array, and whatever we have searched in the name input field, that value has been captured in the query, and internally Yazra data table has binded that search input with that particular column. So by using this way, Yazra data tables automatically filter the data based on the given input. Alright. Similarly, if we'll search in the email field, so I will search for the Raynor. Here we can say in every Ajax call, it updated that based on the given input. So inside this query, if we'll check in the first, here we have bindings and it captured the both input. So in the first input, it checked with the name, in the second, it checked with the email. Now in the query, here we can say in the where condition, it added name and email both. So this is applying the name and email both based on the searched input. So this is how Yazra data table search filter is working. This is fine. Let me refresh this. So we have successfully implemented the column filters here. If we search for the phone number here, 760, this searched all the users belonging to phone number 760. Now in the second functionality, we will add the custom loader. So if you will notice here, Yazra data table by default added this loading indicators here. Alright. So instead of this loading indicators, we can add our custom loader if we want. Now I will show you how we can add the custom loader functionality here. So for this, we want a loader as GIF, and that I have already downloaded it. So I will come to the project folder. Inside public assets, I have added one loader.gif inside this icons folder. So what I will do, inside the users blade, before starting of this table, inside this card body, I will add one div and I will add one class as loader. Inside this div, I will add this image as image src. I will use asset function. Inside this, I will locate the GIF path asset slash icons slash loader.gif. This is our loader. Let me check the loader if it is loading here. Yeah, this loader is loaded. Now before this loader, I want to add one more div so that I can create one overlay effect for the entire page. So I will add one more div here. Div id as overlay loader, just like this. I will wrap this loader inside this div. Now I will add some CSS property for this overlay loader ID and this loader class. So inside the same style, I will add overlay loader. Okay, I have the typo mistake. Let's correct this. Overlay. So inside this, I will add position as fixed. Then I will add top as 0 and also I will add left as 0. Let's check this. Okay, this is here. Now next we will add width as 100% so that it can capture the whole screen, and also I will add height as 100%. Now next I will add background color. So I want a background color in the transparent mode, so I will add RGBA. This will be red, green, blue and alpha color, and I will add 0, 0, 0. This will be black, and here in the alpha I will add the opacity. Let's suppose I will add 0.5. Let's refresh. Also we will have to add Z index so that this table will go back and that loader will be in the front. So I will add Z index and I will add higher number, let's suppose 999. Let me refresh. Yes, this is fine. Now I want to place this loader in the center of this screen. So next we will add the property for the loader, because we have to put loader in the center of the screen. I will change this to ID, and here I will add display as flags, align items center, and justify content will be centered. This is fine. Let's refresh now. Also we can add height here. So height will be 100%. Let's refresh now. This is now in the center. Also I will reduce the width of this loader. So I will reduce the loader image width. So I will target loader and img tag. Inside this I will add width. Yeah, this is fine. And here I will decrease the opacity of this overlay. So I will add 0.7 so that it will be more dark. Now this loader is visible properly. So by default this loader will be hidden, and when we will process something using the AJAX call, that means when this server side Datatable AJAX call will be rendering, this loader will be pop in, and once the Datatable data has been processed, this loader should be popped out. So let's add this. Firstly I will add display none property here inside the overlay loader, so that by default this will be hidden like this. Now when we will process something with the AJAX call, we will show this loader. So I will copy this selector. I will come to the JS, inside the script. Here we are making the AJAX call. So inside the AJAX I will add AJAX before send function, just like this. We can use Datatable processing function as well. Okay, both will work same. Here I want to add on the AJAX before sending the AJAX request. So I will add $# overlay loader dot show. Let me refresh once. Okay, now we can see the overlay loader is visible here when we are making any AJAX call. So on page load, that triggered the AJAX call. If I will inspect it, if I will refresh it again, we can see before making this AJAX call, this loader has been triggered, and we have to hide it once the table has been processed. So here I will add one draw callback function provided by Datatable. So I will add draw callback function. Inside this I will hide this loader. So I will use .hide function here. This is fine. Let's come to the browser. Let's refresh now. So when the data table has been loaded, that means all the data has been processed here. After the successful rendering, that loader has gone now. If I will slow down the network request, then you will be able to see the differences. So inside the no throttling option, if we will make it 3G, this will make more slow that AJAX request. Let's wait for the couple of seconds. Yes, we can see that loader was visible, and after some time when the data has been processed, that loader has gone. Here if you have noticed that data table indicator was also visible. If I will refresh it again, let's focus on that indicator. Here we can see behind the custom loader, that loader indicator was visible. So I will hide that loader indicator so that at a time only we will have only custom loader visible. So we will have to capture that class of that loading indicator. So what I will do here, before send, I will add debugger property so that it will halt that current execution of this AJAX call. And if I will come to the browser and if I will refresh, okay, it halted that AJAX call. Now I will hover over on that loader indicator. Here we have the class as dt-processing. So let's copy this class name and let's hide it here inside this CSS. So inside this CSS, I will add DT processing display none, and also let's add important property so that it will override the existing data table CSS property here, and let's remove that debugger. Let's save, come to the browser, let's refresh now. Yes, now we can see that default loading indicator is not visible now. We have only custom loader visible. So we have added the custom loader inside the data table. Now here we will enhance the custom search filter. Currently, if you will notice, when we type something, this immediately triggers the AJAX call, but I want to prevent that immediate trigger of this AJAX call so that the number of AJAX requests will be minimized. Let's check this. On every single key strike, this is triggering the AJAX call. But for the search filter, I want to add one condition. If the entered input length is greater than or equals to 3, then I want to apply the AJAX call so that based on the given input, this will apply the filter. So we can add one condition here before applying the column filters. Here we have the key up and change function. So we are triggering this search filter here. Okay, let me remove this console. I will add one if condition. If searched terms dot length is greater than or equals 3, okay, then only I want to draw this table for this AJAX call. Let's save, come to the browser, let's refresh. Let me change this throttling to no throttling so that it will be faster response here. Now if I will type, here we can see this has not triggered the AJAX call at. If the searched input length is 3, then here this triggered the AJAX call. Okay, so that we can minimize the AJAX request here if the searched input length is less than 3. This is fine. Similarly, if I will remove the searched input here, now here we can see this has not refreshed the total count here. Still it is showing 1 to 10 of 62, but it should be filtered from total record, that is 19,999. So we have to check one more condition. If the searched input length is 0, then it should reset the entire table. Alright, so let's add one more condition here. I will add OR condition. If searched terms dot length is equals to 0, then this will draw that data table again. Let's refresh. Let's type something. Okay, currently this is showing 1 to 3 of 3 entries. Now I will reset the inputs, and after resetting we can see this is showing 1 to 10 of total records. So this is fine. So we have successfully implemented the column search and loader here. Now we will talk about the third functionality, that we are going to implement the custom search filter. So in some cases, if we need a custom filter that is not fulfilled with the column search here, then you can add that custom filter as well. So I will show you how we can add the custom filter here. Just before this table, I will add one date filter. We will have to add two date inputs. One is for start date and one will be for end date. And between the chosen date of start and end, I want to filter the user records which are inserted between those chosen dates. So I will add two input fields here just above this table. Let's add this. So inside the users blade, here after the loader, I will add custom search filter. I will add one row class. Inside this row, I will add one column. Let's suppose column 8. Okay. Thereafter, I will add two input fields. So I will create one form group class for the input wrapper, label, this will be for start date, okay, and then I will create one input type, let's suppose date, class will be form control, I will add id as start date and name will be start date, okay. I will copy and paste it for end date. This is our start date. Let's rename it quickly. End date. Okay, this is fine. Let's refresh. Here it added the start and end date here. I want this in a single row. So I will make it inline by adding one more class as display flags. So I will add display flags here, okay, and inside this form group I will increase the width to 100%. So I will add width 100 class. Let's save and refresh. Yes, this is inline now. Also I will add some space between these two inputs. So I will add margin start of 4 in the last input field. Let's refresh. Okay, this is fine. We have the start date and end date field. Also I will add margin bottom here inside this row. So I will add margin bottom of 4 and I will add one border bot, and then we need a padding of 3. Let's refresh. We can increase it to 4. Okay, this is fine now. So what I want, when I will choose the date, this should filter the users record here based on the chosen dates. Firstly, we will have to add the date change event here, so that when we will select the date, we can capture the selected date. So let's add the change event for the input fields. So after this data table, here I will add date change filter, date change event, dollar has start date because we have added id as start date, okay, we have start date and end date, and for the end date I will add comma and date, and we will have to add on change event. So I will add on change function. Now when we will select start and end date, we will have to draw the table, but before that we have to check if we have the date selected or not. So I will capture the start date and end date in a variable just like dollar hash, and we will capture it from start date dot val, and same thing for the end date, and here I will add console.log start date and end date. This is fine. Let's come to the browser. Let's refresh. Now here let's choose any date. Yes, we got the start date. Let's select for the end date here. Yeah, we have the start and end date. Now I will add one condition. If we have start date and end date, then I will draw the data table. So I will use table.draw, so that we can pass the start and end date with the table for applying the custom date filter. Now we have to pass the start and end date on the Ajax payload. If I will show you, if I will refresh, if I will come to the network tab, let me clear this. If I will choose the start date and end date here, now based on start and end date, this has made one Ajax call. Alright, Now if I will show you the payload, inside the payload, here we cannot see that start and end date value. So we will have to pass the chosen start and end date inside the payload so that we can capture that date inside server side in the controller. And based on the given dates, we can apply the filter. So in the client side AJAX request, we will have to pass this as a payload. So let's come to the code editor again, and if we'll scroll to AJAX call, here we are making this AJAX call on this particular URL. So we will have to pass the data as well. So we can write data function. This will be a callback function. Now inside this data, let's capture one parameter as payload. Now if we'll console this payload here, and if we'll refresh, let's come to the console. Now here in the payload, we can see here we have the columns, order and the search value. So we can add the date columns here so that it will be passed in the payload. So I will add payload dot start date, because this is an object here, if you will notice. So we can append one object key inside the payload object. So I will append start date, okay, and this will be captured from the input field start date dot val. So better we will capture this in a variable first so that we can apply the validation over that. So I will create one variable as start date, just like this. Similarly, this will be end date, and this will be assigned from this variable, just like this. Same thing for the end date. Okay, this is fine. Let me remove this console. Now let's come to the browser. Let's refresh. Now let's come to the network tab, and let's select the start date and end date. Now in the AJAX call, here we can see we have the payload, and if we scroll down, here we have the newly added payload as start date and end date. So based on this start and end date, we will have to capture the values in the server side, and we will have to apply the filter. So let's come to the controller. Here, before returning this to Datatable, we will have to capture that request payload. So I will define one variable as start date, and this will be captured from the request start date of this payload, and by default I will set it to null. Same thing, this will be for end date, and this will be captured from this request payload end date. Okay, this is fine. Now after this user query, I will add if condition. If we have start and end date, then only we will apply the date filter here. So we will add condition if we have start and end date, then apply date filter. So I will apply date filter as $users, and I will use where between, because I have to find users which have created between the selected dates. So I will add where between created at, and inside this we will have to pass start and end date in the form of array. So in the first parameter I will pass the start date, and in the second parameter we will have to pass end date. This is fine. So if we have start and end date, then this will apply the date filter for the created at column. Let's come to the browser. Let's refresh, and now let's choose the date. So I will select 17th November to 28th. This returned no data available. Alright. Now let's change the date to 11th November. Here we have the users record returned between the choose end date. Alright. This is fine. And if we'll choose the before date, 1st November, yes, we can see these all users had created on 3rd of November. Alright. So the custom date filter is working properly here. Similarly, we can apply the drop down filter if we want to add any drop down filter. Now that we have covered each feature, let's combine them all together. Imagine you are working on a large data set and you need to offer users multiple ways to filter and load data efficiently. With column search, custom loaders and custom filters, we can achieve a seamless experience. Here you can see the full solution in action. We have got column specific searches for each column, a custom loader that shows during data loading, and custom filters for the date range. Everything works together smoothly and giving your users a powerful and efficient way to interact with your data. And the best part, these features are completely customizable to fit your project needs. All of these features come together to make your data tables more dynamic and user friendly. So that's it for today's video. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and leave us a comment if you have any questions. And of course, make sure to subscribe to Programming Fields so you don't miss out on the next video where we will be diving into even more advanced features. So see you soon in the next video. Until then, happy coding.